Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, please.
Council workshop meeting Monday, February 3rd, 2020, 6 p.m. Heidrich. Aye. Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Patke.
Here.
Pettit.
Here.
Scornia.
Here.
Sullentrup.
Here.
Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the committee members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the meetings dated January 6 and January 21, 2020? Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Scornia.
Yes.
Sullentrup.
Yes.
Wessels.
Having read the minutes, are there any comments or questions, any corrections?
Make a motion. Second.
I have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Obermark, to approve the minutes from our meetings dated January 6 and January 21, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Report of department heads, police, cable installation, and pub safety building rewiring for cameras.
Evening, council. So you, okay. We'll see if it snows later, so. You have a letter in that for me for a contract with Echo Camp Electric Company for jail area cable installation and public safety building rewiring for new cameras. This is part of a project we started last year with the booking area renovation. We did a contract with Echo Camp then to rewire the electrical. This is another part now that we need to do rewiring for the whole building and for the jail. The current camera system we have needs to be replaced. The cameras aren't serviced anymore. The software is no longer being supported. As of right now, we have 9 cameras that are not functioning. All the jail cameras are just fine, and the interview room cameras are working fine, and those are very important ones. So this cabling, the old cable will not work with the new cameras. You have to have an upgrade in the cabling to CAD 6. And just to let you know, these cameras were originally put in the building in '06 with that wiring when it was first built. So they're 14 years old and the wiring's 14 years old. Giving the advances technology, things become obsolete. So this contract is for that rewiring and removal of $17,425. We have a budget of $30,425 for cameras and the rewiring. So there won't be any need for any adjustment from any other budget. This all comes out of the same budget. And the next portion you'll get in a council meeting, probably the first of next month, will be the cameras. That bid's going also out through NOC to get the cameras and your approval to purchase them and then get everything done. And Echo Camp Electric is a sole source bid on this. Other firms were contacted and no one wanted to touch the project. Pulling the wires through the police station and what they have to deal with, especially in the electronics room, no one wanted to take that on, but Echo Camp Electric was. So I request you approve the ordinance and sales contract for Echo Camp Electric.
Any questions or comments?
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay.
Second by council.
We have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Pettit, to send this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you've sent it on. Thank you.
Thank you, council. Next item you have is the Missouri Department of Transportation Traffic Safety Grants for 2020, 2021. We apply for these grants every year. This is for the upcoming grants the next budget year. We're applying for $7,000 in hazardous moving and $1,500 for training, $4,000 in DWI enforcement, and $1,500 for training, and $5,000 for youth alcohol enforcement, total of $19,000. This is all extra hours officers would work and be paid overtime for, and till that money is spent. The training is to send officers to one Traffic Safety Accident Conference, LETSAC, and one Drug Recognition Experts Conference. That's something different we've done, we didn't do in years before. But those are trainings that will help officers better do their job, and the conference for our DRE helps maintain their certification. So
Will the grants cover the overtime?
that's what the grants do. They pay the overtime.
We're going to cover it.
So there's a sign-up sheet, officers sign up to work it. They are paid time and a half by the grant guidelines anytime they work a grant.
And Chief, you say you apply for it annually. Do you usually receive it?
We have received it the past 10 years. Sometimes they change the format, they give us more here or there, but we always receive the money.
Any other questions? Okay,
I'll make a motion. Second.
okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Holtmeyer, to send this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you sent it on. Thank you.
Should council approve it in the council meeting, there's a form that each council member has to sign this form. Or the
So Mary has that form, and she'll,
The last item is just for your information. It's a press release about the crimes report summary for 2019. So if you have any questions on that, I'm available. Or if you have any other questions.
any questions of Chief?
And just to let you know, Channel 4 is airing something on a local individual tonight, which may give you some phone calls. So. That's all I have. Thank you.
Forward them to you, right?
That's right. Forward them to me.
Thank you.
Parks?
Stalker guy. Can't afford it, a story.
Good evening, council.
Hello.
Couple things to bring forward to you. First one is replacement of salt spreaders. So we have 2 salt spreaders. They would be replacing 2 of them that we have from 2007. The 2 that they would be replacing are the plastic, they had the plastic bins. And the plastic is getting brittle on them, and just because they sit outside a lot. And so we budgeted $16,000 and came in under budget at $12,435. And so I'm just asking for your looking for your approval to purchase these. If you have any questions.
Make a motion.
Are the old ones, are they sellable or they're not?
Yeah, we think we'd be able to get some money, maybe possibly up to $1,000 each out of the 2 that we have.
Okay.
Are the new ones plastic also?
No, they're stainless steel.
Nice.
Any other questions?
We have a motion already?
Yes, Steve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Patke, to send this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you sent it on. Thank you.
And then the second item is the purchase of the solid tine aerator. And so this would be an aerator we'd use on athletic fields, soccer, baseball, even the fairgrounds. And it was budgeted for $33,000. It came in a little bit over budget at $33,173.36. And this aerator, we rented it, or not rented it. We had a demo, I guess I would say, and we demoed it on Soccer Field 1 in August when we were doing a lot of the other work up there, and it really worked well. So it's called a deep tine aerator, and so it goes down deeper into the ground than a normal aerator does, and then it also, so it not only goes into the ground, sticks its prongs in the ground, but then it kind of lifts up and kind of, I think they call it like fractures the ground, the soil, and creates like an air pocket. And so you get better flow of air into the soil and and nutrients of the soil. And I do believe with all the influx of soccer games that we're now having up there, we're starting a spring season soon, like end of February up there, which will be new for this year. We could definitely use this piece of equipment to help things. Not only reduces the compaction of the soil, but helps that also in turn could help reduce head injuries from the soil being not as hard. So
Does it destroy the cores too, the little plugs?
it reaches down and it like lifts up and it makes tiny holes in there, but no plugs.
Don't plug on.
We wouldn't aerate it as close to the soccer season as we did last year, will we? There was a lot of complaints about the fields being all tore up.
Well, we went through that when I first started, when we were doing the fee adjustments, and when we met with all the different groups. And with soccer, we don't really have much choice. And we went through that with them. I know Darren sat in those meetings. Because of baseball, we're doing baseball field maintenance now, and then we have the fair, and then we have soccer. That's just, if we're going to do it, that's when it has to be done. Now, we did because that was brought up during the meeting, and we had a long discussion about it. We did do it. We mowed over the cores this year, where in the past they did it and just left them, and so that helped quite a bit. And we went over back and forth over the field several times to try to get as many as we could. So you reduce the plug from maybe 4 inches down to 2 or a half or 1 inch, just depending on what the mower picked up. But we did try to eliminate that as best we could. But that is really the only, if we're going to do it, which it needs to be done, that's really when we have time to do it.
And this machine will help that out.
Yes,
Won't make it
significantly, yeah.
stressful.
Any other questions? Comments?
Make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Obermark to send this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? By your vote, you've sent it on. Thank you.
Just a quick little update on a few other items. We have fencing going in down on the riverfront between the railroad tracks and the trail. We have fencing going in at the dog park. Posts and things are going in at the dog park for the fencing there. We have a aquatics facility committee update tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 with the aquatics facility, just to kind of give them an update on where we are in the process. And the RFQ for the aquatics facility was in the paper over the weekend, so that's out, and things are moving along with the aquatics facility. Phoenix Bridges, both of them over there have been complete, and so if you remember back in early fall, you guys approved a little extra money to buy the composite decking, and we finally got all that on. It took a little longer than what we anticipated, but hopefully we won't have to worry about it for a long time. And then also, we had 1,700 feet of wood fence installed at Miller Post around the quarry up there, and that was something that was supposed to be done per our insurance agent. It didn't have to be done when we opened, as long as we had it signed, that there was a quarry nearby, and we had it signed. So we did get the fencing in, and we now have fencing pretty much all the way around the quarry for the most part, and then we have a new trail also going around the quarry. So. And we have some lookouts up there. It's really nice if you guys get a chance when the weather's nice, get out there and check it out. That's all I have, unless you guys have more questions.
Any questions of?
Wayne, let me run something by you. Since we now are capable of closing down the fairgrounds 100%.
Go ahead.
Would it be something maybe you could talk to the park board about closing the park down? Is the vandalism bad enough out there to where if you close it down, people can't get in unless they're renting the place? Because I go out there quite often and there's just so much vandalism.
I would agree with you. Now we had a little bit of discussion over email recently, because I guess it was not this past weekend, the weekend before, we had a couple of different incidents out there. And I did check with JB, and they didn't have it on their cameras. And we don't have cameras out there yet, but it is on the list to be approved. I would agree, we do have the capability of pretty much shutting most of that area down. I think one thing we'll have to think through is, I think we got to leave that gate over off of Grand by Miller Post open, because that's where people park. But I think I don't know exactly how many gates are up there, but if there's 4 gates, I think we could have 3 of the 4 closed.
If you close most of them up, and you had like a police officer could go by like he does everywhere else around town and locks things up, in the evenings, they could lock them up, and I think that's when most of the vandalism is done anyway.
I would tend to agree.
I
seems
would
to-
think you'd want to go ahead and keep it open during daytime hours. I know that was a discussion with the park board. That was a concern that they had when the fence was being proposed, was for the general public to go ahead and get access to that. So, yeah, we talked about the possibility of closing it off in the evening. Yes, it's a discussion that Councilman Sullentrup brought up, so.
Most of your vandalism is driving off the ground, is driving off the pavement. Those paved areas are out in the middle of the field by the main stage. You would have to fence that whole area to keep them out of there.
No, you got gates all the way around.
Got the gates all the way around?
All the way around now.
Then there's some that go other places, like one of them was by the All Abilities. They went off the side of the road and did their thing from the park. But if you want to keep them out of that center area from tearing it up and everything, as long as you can block it up, keep them out of there at night.
Right. I mean, I agree with Darren. During the day, nothing really gets torn up during the day, but there could be some buildings getting broken into at night, kids doing donuts and, you know.
And you can close the whole grounds at night as far as that goes.
Right.
So include South Gate and North Gate from the fairgrounds could be closed also.
Yes,
I mean, you wouldn't have to have every gate open during the day either. You could just, have the one by Grand Avenue open, and then one bound South Gate, one on North Gate, and those would be only 3 that the officer would have to close at night. People could still get through there.
Right. The gate next to the cattle barn, and that doesn't have to be opened up.
It's never open, is it?
And that seems like that's a quick in and out for them, if they
Correct.
Go in there and do something real quick, they'll go in
Well,
there,
and
spend their donuts.
And unfortunately, from what I see, they congregate by the back of the stage and the lake,
And that's generally
and
where
then
we
they
have
go close. Right. So that's what needs to be closed first.
Your spray painting that mostly occurs on the back side of the main stage or the pavilions. That can happen
Any idea?
That has cameras now.
Yeah.
Just something you can bring up to the park board and talk to them about it.
Yeah, we have a meeting on Wednesday, so I'll add it to the agenda.
But we don't need approval from the council to shut the gates, do we?
No, that's just,
Park board's good with it, we're gonna close the gates. Perfect.
It'll cut down on vandalism. I think it's worth looking
Right.
into.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
We'll ask the park board for a time frame. What would be the best? An officer to close those 3 gates is what kind of we propose. Good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else?
Just give you guys a couple updates on economic development stuff. So we should have 2 contracts that will be going to P&Z on February 10th. They're in Highmont Industrial Park. If you guys remember, anytime we sell a lot there, we have to have it amend the development plan of Hydeman. So it'll go to P&Z on the 10th and then in front of you all on the 18th. It'll be lots 21 through 23. It's the entire length of Enduro Drive there from Vossbrink up to the top of the hill. At asking price, as well as Lot 12. That's Project Trace. They're not ready to announce yet. And then across the street is the Noah's Ark Medical Marijuana. Both of those are scheduled to close on February 28th. So hopefully we'll get a little more things concrete. We're actually meeting with Noah's Ark tomorrow and make sure we got that contract finalized. But 2 big sales that will actually have 353 with a deposit of about $1.2 million into the debt that they owe the city by March 1st. Other than that, on your agenda tonight is a contract with McBride. We've been working on this for a long time. It's just kind of been delayed a little bit, but they are purchasing the land down at Jefferson Street from us, entering a contract for $557,000. So we paid about $660,000 for all that land down there. There is one piece, if you remember, right up on Jefferson and 8th, that is about an acre that is out of the floodplain, that is still zoned commercial. We are retaining ownership of that, and that was purchased. We purchased that for $103,000, so we subtracted that off of the purchase price. So they are buying the rest of the land dollar for dollar what we paid for it. There is a 180-day closing on that, where we have to come to an agreement on that cost share for the public infrastructure. I will say we've had preliminary conversations with them. I think we're actually verbally to a pretty good understanding on how that's going to look. So I do not anticipate it taking anywhere near the full 180 days. So after tonight, we'll set up a call with them to finalize how we imagine that agreement coming and bring that back to you at a future meeting. So.
There's a map within your packet that's attached to that ordinance later.
Yeah,
so-
it shows you the land that they are purchasing. So, if you remember, we tried to sell that 100,000 square foot or $100,000 lot at Jefferson and 8th, and we didn't really get any interest in it. I think it would be smart to maybe see after this development's done if we could get some interest in it at that time. After it's
Put
cleaned
it
up.
out for bid again.
You know if they're gonna, put Wainwright through?
No. So as of right now, they showed us a preliminary design. To be honest, it didn't add any additional lots. It only added to infrastructure cost, which would just be the portion that we would be paying for, or cost sharing them with. So we did not ask them to do that. We actually are looking at possibly utilizing some of that extra land there to put in a hammerhead. So a fire truck could come
Better
in.
turnaround for the fire trucks.
But you would have to do a significant amount of grading, actually, because Wainwright is a little bit higher than Locust there. So.
Getting back to the two sales, that's no contingencies, and they're paying full price that we asked, right?
They are. So they are, both contracts are at list price. The lot 12, there's no stipulations to it. I do anticipate a request for some type of tax incentive or some type of economic development incentive on lots 21 through 23 with Project Trace. We have, when we first sat down with them in early November, given the investment and the jobs and wages, we let them know they would qualify for some programs, and when they went to their corporate leadership, they did let them know that was on the table. So I fully anticipate in between here and the end of the month, they'll give us a proposal on what they think that looks like.
And did one of those, was one of them involved in that settlement we did last meeting?
No. So, well, yes, I'm sorry.
The
Top of
lot,
hill.
the property,
Yeah.
a portion of the property was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Neither companies were, but yeah. So the top of the hill where we graded the borrow site,
Right.
where we graded that out, that is lot 23. So the top of the hill will now be, that borrow site will now be purchased.
Okay.
So they'll actually, the preliminary plans that they've gotten done, they'll have to bring that down a little bit more. But yeah, that we raised the price on that lot because it was pre-graded.
Any other questions?
And then I think Darren may have shared with you, I have one thing in executive session that we'll do after the second.
Yeah, we'll have to do it afterwards because we've got a guest for that.
Anyone else? Kevin?
Good evening, everyone. I just want to give you guys an update on the lift stations. I know I brought them to you a while back. Just want to let you know we have Walnut Street up and running with the new pump. We did have one glitch on the first rain event, a mechanical malfunction, basically. That's been corrected. Our second rain event, it kept the station at 12 feet, which is what we anticipated, which is very good. Unfortunately, at that time, we had a bypass pump down at West End, and that bypass pump did not throttle down enough, and it caused the manhole overflow on Front Street, so we took care of that. West End is completed now. We have both pumps in, we have the controls in, it's up and running. It's been running for, this is now the second week, well, it started the second week, and it's doing great. It's doing real good. My crew worked with the construction company. We worked real well together. We got it done 2 days ahead of schedule when we started working on it, so that's good. You will notice when you go down there that there is a platform, and the controls are on the platform, which actually extend above the roof of the existing building. We put that up that high because that's about a foot higher than the 93 flood was. That's a very expensive control panel down there, and we did not want to have it flooded, and we wouldn't have had time to go down there and try and remove it with the way it's hooked up and everything, and then bring it back, so we did that. So I talked to Darren about it already, we're probably going to put a fence around that down there so that we don't have anybody getting on that and causing any problems. That'll be our next step on that.
Where's that at?
The end of Front and Tiemann.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, sorry.
Yeah.
River.
So anyway, it's all working good. Now we're just going to wait for the next rain event and see what happens, so.
Are there any questions of Kevin?
How's the treatment plant going?
It's doing good. We have the air scrubber. I brought that up too, but we haven't got it installed yet. We have it placed. That's our next project, is to go in and get the piping all set up through it, and we'll have that ready to roll by the springtime. So when the transition starts, we usually have our odors start to pick up. We'll have that. Now, everybody has to remember, we will still have some odors down there. It is a wastewater treatment plant, but we're going to eliminate the majority of the odors with this air scrubber. So, yes, you will. I appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony?
Good evening, council. So the street department, we are getting ready to go out for bid for our grinding of our mulch at our recycle center. We've got 3 contractors going to be sending us bids hopefully this week. We're doing some concrete work around town. We got some snow shifts coming up again this week. That's ongoing. We are patching potholes, so if anybody sees anything, don't hesitate to call our office and let us know. We, hopefully by the next council meeting, we should have a couple vehicles up that we're budgeted for, replace some of our older fleet. We got a 3/4 ton pickup truck that we're getting. We're going to be replacing a 1999 model. And then we have a 2.5 ton snow plow truck that we're going to be replacing our 2005 model with. So hopefully both of those will be ready for our next council meeting. Other than that, everything's going okay. Any questions?
Tony, out at the landfill, the compactor, somebody asked me if we're not using it anymore because they said that it doesn't seem like they've been using it.
It was down a while back for a fuel leak and a transmission leak, but that's been repaired, so we are using it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Anyone else? Nelson?
Got some books that are out.
Overdue.
Good evening, council. I've been working for the last few months with the Washington High School and the Washington High School and the Washington West Elementary School as trying to increase some partnerships between the library and their libraries. So we've got 2 things that we got the blessings from the school district and from the board at our last board meeting to move forward. We're going to start at Washington West. We're going to start a little pilot program where they have their own institutional account, is what we're calling it. Gives them a 6-week checkout and allows the librarian there to expand her collection with books that she can't get because she's got a much lower book budget than we have here. And it's going to allow her to get some books into the hands of some kids that can't get access to these books because they just can't get into the public library themselves, just through their own family situation. They can't get in. So she's got a targeted group of 30 to 40 kids that we're going to start getting some extra books into their hands for this program. And then at Washington High School, we're going to move forward and partnering with them. And what we're trying to do is get library cards into the hands of the high schoolers. So we're going to help get some applications into parents' hands to get signatures on those cards. And their goal with that is primarily with the high schoolers, as they're always walking around with their devices, is the librarian wants to get their targeted group of kids that want access to books, to get them more access to electronic books is where we think they'll primarily use that.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nelson. Did anyone have any questions of Nelson?
The Chiefs game. It's at puberty.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Did you have anything? Well, we have 30 minutes.
Yeah. Like I said, I apologize. We do the other executive session in between, but we have a guest for that, so have to wait till later.
All right, well, council have any comments or questions? Anyone?
How's the fire truck coming?
Would you care to be more specific?
The new one.
The city's one's in service. It's been in service since December 5th. So we'll have that one here hopefully in April, so we'll have a little more light outside. District has one. It is due to be looked at in 2 weeks at the factory. So that'll be replacing the one out of Station 5 in Krakow. So we're also planning, the district is also working right now in looking at the property out in Campbellton for construction of a facility out there as well. So the district's looking at building another building.
Is the one on KK?
Yes, sir. KK and Sunny.
That sign's been up longer than you've been born, probably.
Close. I'm a little older than that, Steve.
A Japanese restaurant.
Right. No, we're doing well. We're doing well.
Is a rescue truck, is that, it's been in service a while, you haven't had any trouble with that, have you?
Nothing to speak of, nothing outside of normal warranty issues, minor things. So they were, the shop was out today, there's a noise, but they're evaluating that. So we're working through some warranty issues, minor issues for the most part.
Okay.
But no things, the ladder truck is out of service, it is in the shop right now. It has some corrosion in the frame rail, so that's being repaired. So that truck will be gone for at least a week. So we anticipate having it back Friday. So it'll be gone for a little while. It left this morning.
Anyone else have questions? Thanks.
Mark, you got any long-range plans for the water? River?
Everybody get ready. You got an odd question from Sullentrup coming.
Yeah,
I got a half hour.
Be prepared.
yeah. Good question, Councilman. Actually, the spring flood outlook is not out yet. That is usually out about the middle of February. But all indications, I mean, when you look at anything, you look at the late winter predictions they had, when you look at the soil moisture content, you look at all the snowpack up north, it's not going to be any better this year than it was last. So anticipate more problems again this year, which does not bode well for the projects we have going this morning. It's like 12.6, something like that. It's predicted to go up to 13.8 in a few days. And it's right at the border to where Alberici has problems. 14 foot is their benchmark where they can't get anything done. So once again, it becomes a problem trying to get that rock back out. So it just does not look good.
Okay, thank you. Any
Thanks,
other
Mark.
questions?
Next.
Chief is.
I'm gonna leave him alone.
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Okay.
So, House bill went to the president and he signed it. That raises the age limit for smoking. You have to be 21 to purchase tobacco products. So I will be presenting to council an ordinance change for our city ordinance to comply with federal guidelines and change it from 18 to 21. And that'll be in the near future.
Is there anything
Already
on?
took effect, didn't it?
It did take effect, but that's federal.
Okay,
So
okay.
there's some people in town that are not complying.
Well, I've seen some differences, and that's why I was
So
wondering.
if we make an ordinance in the city, they will have to comply.
Okay.
Is vaping considered a tobacco product?
I would have to check, there's a list, chewing tobacco. I don't know if vaping, if it involves a tobacco product, is.
What about the changes to the, I'm gonna say this incorrectly, but I think there were changes to the law also related to fruit-flavored vaping devices that
I'd
are
have to
no
check-
longer?
I'd have to check that.
Okay. I didn't know if we'd need a separate ordinance for that, if that happened at the federal level also.
I know the tobacco products, I don't know about the fruit-flavored ones, but all that'll go by Attorney Piontek before I get it to you, so.
Speaking of the, of changes in federal, I don't know if, Darren, or maybe Mary would know too, but, I was reading in the paper about the changes that they're going to do with the local option taxes. Are we gonna have to put that back in front of the voters again?
I'm not aware of anything.
They had, the state's looking at it, it wasn't the federal, it was state. They're looking at something where, I think they're trying to make it more available to outlying areas. Or make it easier for them to get there. But in so doing, they're saying that cities who already have it may have to run it through again to keep it.
I'm not aware of that, but
Hadn't heard.
I will check into it.
Maybe something that was just presented
Yeah,
in the
okay.
new.
Yeah, it hasn't been passed yet.
It's something that
that's what
somebody
they're-
came up with an
Yes,
idea?
Yes.
I think you're making it up.
Oh, well,
No, because
Got
they
time.
file a lot of bills at the beginning here.
We'll find out on legislative day.
all right.
Our legislative conference is coming up in about, was it next week?
Yes, next week.
And we have contacted most of the dealers, or every one of the people that sell tobacco products. They've all comply, or are complying except one. So, thank you.
We could just take a break.
Yep.
Okay, council, do you have anything else any other questions or comments? You want to go down the agenda?
I'm sorry.
Well, council comments would be next, I
Right.
guess. I don't want to take your job.
It's all right. You're doing good.
All right, who has something to say? Or forget it? Nothing. Okay, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Pettit, seconded by Holtmeyer to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.